video, we want to create our first object that's a form. Now we have 3 tables here. We want a form for this products table. If I double click and open this, we know that we can enter data here, but usually in databases, the table are big. We just leave them alone. We have a user interface on top of the table called a form that we enter data into. Now, in our first video, we saw how that works. In this video, we want to see how to create a form. Oh, this is so hard. You just click on the actual table you want, go to Create, and I'm going to click Form. That's it, a one-click form. Now, you could go underneath in Design View and do all sorts of things, but for this class, this is perfectly sufficient. The only thing you want to be careful of, and we mentioned this in video number 1, is that when you create it, it is in this in-between view. I'm going to go up here. And if you want in Layout View to change some things or add some formatting, you can see there's some design ribbons up here. You can do that. But we're not. I'm going to keep it just like that. It is fine. I'm going to make sure if I'm entering raw data to go to Form View. Now we want to see how to use the form to enter data. Notice down here we have our little navigation area. There's only one record. Now, if you're following along, you probably already downloaded the woodencraftsteps.docx. This is our raw data, so I'm going to use this as my guide. I'm going to enter a couple of records here and just test this form, see that the data validation carries over from the table, and show you maybe 1 or 2 tricks here for entering data. Now, I'm a terrible typer, so I'll expose myself here. But I'm going to click this new record. And right at the top, I'm going to type, this is blocks in box, so it's going to be BL23. Notice that looks like it's, oh, it carried over from the table. This is a form, right? But all that data validation carried over. Description, blocks in box. I'm hitting Tab as I move forward. We've seen throughout this class, I always think of Tab as moving forward, Shift Tab as going backwards. We saw that it works in dialog boxes, it works in web pages, it works in Excel, it works in Word tables, but Tab goes forward. On hand, looks like we have 5 on hand. Tab. The cost is 14.5. Remember, this is an automatically formatted field. Tab. The selling price is going to be 27. Don't type in the $ or the 0.00. Supplier code. This is going to be AP. Notice I just typed A, and AP pops up, so I'm going to hit Tab. And then retail, wholesale, all of these are going to be retail. All I do is type R. Now, look down here. 2 of 2. I am not going to click New. I'm going to click Tab. And as soon as I hit Tab, you can see 3 of 3, and the cursor starts here. So that's really how you should be using the form to enter records. I'll do one more here. CC. This is a coal car. CC14. Coal car. On hand. 8. Tab. 7. Tab. 13. Tab. BH. B. Tab. R. We know that retail will pop up because there's only 2 entries in this field. When I hit Tab, you can see down here, it'll go from 3 of, it'll go to 4, so Tab. Now we can see the 4 down here. Oh, look at that. Do I see a form over here? Man, that was a reckless move. That means we entered some records. And no problem. If we had tried to close this, it would ask us if we wanted to save. But we haven't saved this yet. Now, if you close that, it'll ask you, but I'm going to Control S. Control S, and it's going to assume that we want the same name. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I very much like the same name as the table, because this form is a user interface that sits, in essence, metaphorically on top of the table and just puts data there. So I'm going to name it the same thing and click OK. Now I'm going to hit pause for a second to enter some data and then come back in the last record and show you one last trick for entering data. Now I hit pause and did a bunch of typing. I'm going to type in the last record, and actually we'll learn one last trick. UM09 and then USA map. Now I'm going to the next 1, 2, 3 fields are numbers. So I'm going to switch over to the number pad and type 12 and then enter. Enter can move forward also, not just tab. And when you're entering lots of number data, much better to use the number pad. So I went 12, enter, 7, enter, 13, enter, and then A, and you can use enter here too if you want, and retail. All right, so now we have our 10 records. I haven't even finished that. I'm going to close it. All right, now here's the moment. We just used a form. We can see that form. That's a group of objects there, and then tables. But we just used the form to put data here. Let's go check it. Double click, and boom, there it is. Now, in our next video, we're actually going to start doing queries. And that video will be a long video with lots of cool examples of data analysis and calculations while creating queries. But make sure that you compare your data entered to the handout so you got the right data. Because when we do queries and we say, show me all the rails, if you don't have it spelled right, it won't work. Now, let's do one other thing. Let's just take a look. Oops. Just take a look in the products table. Oh, I'm sorry. The products form, we just did that. Oh, yeah. We just have one record at a time. Now let's create a form of this supplier data. Now think about this. Is there a relationship between this table and this table? Yeah, one to many. So I want to create a form. Create just this button. I love this button. Boop, and then there you go. Whoa. Well, first off, immediately I'm going to get out of that view, form view. I'm going to click Control S. I'm going to accept that name, supplier data. And just like that, look at that. We can go through the records and see from the supplier data form, boop, there's the supplier's information, and there are the toys. Totally cool. Oh, so ER, we don't have any from ER. Forward in the navigation. So, all right, we're going to close this. And in our next video, we are going to have more fun than you ever thought possible with access queries. All right, see you next video.